Repeat after me. Don't think, just repeat. そこに大きな円を描いて。One more time. そこに大きな円を描いて。そこに大きな円を描いて。そこに大きな円を描いて。そこに大きな円を描いて。Let's look at the hiragana and the romaji at the same time. そこに大きな円を描いて。そこに大きな円を描いて。Draw a big circle over there. In previous lessons, we learned about the ko, so, a patterns that exist in Japanese. Something referring to something close to you, usually beginning with ko. Then a little bit farther, maybe close to the speaker or the listener, that would be so. And then something farther away from both the speaker and the listener, that would be a. In this case, we have koko ni. And the ni is a particle that points to an exact point in this immediate area. So koko is here, but koko ni is right here at this point. Koko ni is here. Soko ni is there, and asoko ni is over there. Okay. Asoko, by the way, for those of you who are familiar with certain adult topics, asoko is the way Japanese refer to private parts. It's like, down there, far away from us, right? Asoko. So if you want to talk about something that's happening down there, you could say asoko. Probably too much information for you, but apologies. This is not a children's channel, though it is. I do aim to be family friendly. Anyway, here we have a problem. We have ookina, which may confuse some of you who may have learned ookii, which is big. Now, let me explain something. In Japanese, there are two types of adjectives. They are called, an adjective in Japanese is called a keiyoshi. Excuse me, the Y. Why did I do that? Keiyoshi. And that's an adjective. Now, there are two groups of adjectives. There are adjectives that end in I endings, like over here, e. I shouldn't say I, but in English you write it as I, but it's pronounced e. So we call this the keiyoshi group. And then we have other adjectives, which are often nouns, not always, often nouns, but they end in na, and they are na keiyoshis. Now, I've never looked this up, but I did notice a long time ago that ookina, or oki, which is big, has both forms, which is a bit rare. You have ookina, which is big, and then you have ookii, which is also big. And you have one of each. I have never looked this up. Should we look it up now? Why not? Let's look it up. Okay, let's look. Ready? Is ookii a na keiyoshi? Okay, here we go. Oh, I'm sure someone asked this question already. Ooki is a na adjective, and when describing something as being oki, particularly before noun, it should be ookina noun. Other people have made this question. What is the difference between oki and ookina? Some Japanese adjectives, including oki and chisai. Oh, there's other ones. Okay, also have a na form. So it is it's an ikeiyoshi, but it has a na form. And if you have the na form, you can use it before a noun. I see. Okay. According to several sources, the na forms. You know what? I'm just going to put this link in the description. You guys can read on that, because this is not the point of this lesson. The point is just to break down one sentence. But I am introducing you. I don't want to fill you with too much information too quickly. You'll be discouraged. But just remember that in general there are two groups of keiyoshis, or adjectives in Japanese. Some end in i. They're called ikeyoshis, and some end in na, and those are called na keiyoshis. And I took my Japanese class, many years ago in Japanese, and this is what the sensei called them: ikeyoshi and na keiyoshi. Okay, the next kanji, or the next word, is en, which is circle. You may notice that it is also the same en as in the currency en. So hyaku en, or 100 yen, would be hyaku en, 100 Japanese yen. And in currency circles, we usually use this symbol, right? This is the Japanese version of the dollar sign, the Y. Then we have the particle wo, which indicates what the verb will act on. And now we have a problem. We come to a word that you may or may not know, but it's a very common word, which is kaite. If you look here, kaite, you may think, oh, it means to write. And in Japanese, it does mean to write, but depending on which kanji you use, it can also mean to draw. And the pronunciation, is the same. And I think I've seen it actually, I've seen Japanese people mix them up and not really care too much about it. I didn't even notice it. I actually I made this video already, and I forgot to point that out. So just so you know, when you hear it, we don't even think about it. Just kaite means draw or write, depending on the context. If I say namae o kaite, namae means onamae, onamae means your name. I wouldn't think draw your name, I would think write your name, of course. But if you said ringo o kaite, ringo being an apple, I wouldn't think write apple, I would think draw apple. Though, I guess, you could write the word apple, right? Anyway, so we have two kakus. The first kaku is this kanji, and it's to write, and the second kaku is to draw. I've also seen an egaku version, but in today's lesson, we're just gonna worry about this version, which is kaku. Now, it ends in a te ending, and that's called the te form. Te form of a verb, and that basically allows you to use that verb as a command to make someone do something. So if you want someone to do something, you need to use the te form. Let's see, what have we done so far? Well, we talked about in the first lesson hanasu, which can also be a verb. So hanashite would be please talk. And last lesson we talked about miru, which is to look. If you want someone to look, you would say mite. Mite. My daughter is always saying mite, mite, mite. Anyway, so the sentence, going back to the sentence, here we go. I hope you're not getting seasick from all this moving around. Soko ni, over there. Ookina en. Remember before, the en is the noun, so we want to use the na form of the oki. Ookina en, big circle, particle indicating what the verb will act on. Draw. So draw kaite. Kaite. Ookina en o kaite. So basically this means draw whatever is in this place here. So if I wanted to say, as I said before, ringo, draw an apple, I would say ringo o kaite. Now today I've picked up a couple similar words, kuma and uma, because my niece made the mistake. She wanted to say horse and she said kuma instead. If you wanted to say draw a horse, then we'll go back to this, right? Draw a horse, instead of saying ookina en, you could say ookina uma o kaite. Or if you wanted to draw a bear, ookina kuma o kaite. Okay. Now, if we wanted to write your name, we would replace the kaku with the proper kaku, not the draw kaku, but the right kaku. And for the word for name, you might think is na, because of this movie, Kimi no Na. And that is one way to say name, but the more common way is namae, namae, namae. And here you see we have an O, because this is the honorable O. Many Japanese words, when you're talking to someone and you want to show respect, you add an honorable O to the beginning like this, O. You may not have realized that it is used many times with many words that you may know already, like ocha, honorable tea. It's not really honorable tea, it's just tea, but there is an honorable O there. Or the osake, which does deserve, I think you will agree with me, is a very honorable drink. Osake. And then omizu, which is water. So this is actually mizu, sake, cha. But we always say ocha. We always say, I think pretty much osake, sake. Sakegatsu, osake. Yeah, well, not always, but if you're offering someone sake, you would say osake. and omizu. Now in this case, we want to say draw your name, not draw, I'm sorry, write your name here. Instead of saying over there, write it here. If I give you a piece of paper, write your name here. Okay, so koko ni, onamae o kaite. Write your name here. And that concludes a long-ass lesson. I try to make them short, guys, but you know, there's so much to explain in such a short sentence. I hope you're taking notes. I hope this helps. If you have any requests or any questions about anything I've done in the lessons or corrections, because as you all know, I am the king of the morons, as my crown will show you. And I do make mistakes, but I'm doing my best to make sure no mistakes get recorded here on the Japanese for Morons channel. And as always, please, thumbs up. Please support the channel. If you want to support me, really support me, you can go to the Patreon. And I always recommend Maggie Sensei, because she proofread, well, she's not proofreading these. These are pretty simple. But she does help me quite a bit with Japanese questions, more specifically. And if you want to learn Japanese, that is a great site for it. It is really highly acclaimed, and it's just top-notch in its niche of Japanese language learning sites. So maggiesensei.com, links in the description, links to her Patreon in the description, links to my Patreon in the description. But most importantly, study, take notes, repeat, and you will learn Japanese. Until the next video, study hard.